Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Well, welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Super Rugby. And once again, I'm joined in studio by the Prince of Puha, the King of Kumara. It's Piri Weepu.
Interesting introduction there, boy.
Well, I see you on social media. You've got a bit of a garden going and there's quite a bit of veg happening.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, it's good to see. And, of course, we're joined, we're very lucky to have a couple of guests today with us. Up north, of course. First of all, we'll head to, the King of Northcote. 150 games for Northcote. Ben Searle. Searle, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Still slightly hungover, to be honest. The hangovers take a little longer to clear than they used to. Also, 150 games, hit my first ruck on the weekend and came away with a black eye. So, yeah, won't be doing that again. Geez, you got to stay out of those dark arts, eh? But, great weekend, plenty of fun, still paying the price.
Fantastic. If there was one guy that stayed out of those dark areas, it's our next guest, our very good friend, Jeff Wilson. Jeff, welcome along.
Oh, it's so good to see you guys. And the fact that I didn't get in fast enough before you took your first shot of the morning, having your first crack, and I would deny it, but I don't deny it. Is the fact that there's a reason 15 was as far away as I could possibly get from anything that resembled a dark space. But I tell you what, you are looking worse for wear, Searle. I will say. You've had, they targeted you on the weekend, on and off the field, I reckon. On and off the field, you had a marker on you.
Yeah, big time. We had a bus to Silverdale. It's only 15 minutes from Silverdale to Northcote. I was amazed how much you can get done in 15 minutes. It can feel like an eternity if you're with the wrong blokes, that's for sure.
Piri, last weekend, what'd you get up to? Was it a bit of sports?
No, actually, the kids didn't have too much on other than league training. But, yeah, I didn't watch too much. I knew what was on the box, really.
What about Wellington College?
No. They are having the weekend off. They've got a game this weekend against Tauranga. So that'll be an interesting one.
All righty, fantastic. Right, let's get into the Super Rugby, though. And first of all, we'll have a look at the punting that went on last week. Let's get the bad news out of the way straight off the bat. I had one bet last weekend. I had over 59.5 points between the Canes and the Crusaders. That was no good. Into Moana Pacifica, plus 14.5. The whole $100 on that was terrible. No good at all. Searle had two bets. Blues, Chiefs, Landers, Reds, all to win in an $80 multi. That fell over quite early on. And then he had Stevenson, Nareki, and Reese all to score tries. That was no good as well. Piri, he's consistent.
Yes.
If nothing else, he's yet to pick up a win this season. He had Moana.
Yeah, no, let's just carry.
He had Moana head-to-head as a single, and then he had the Canes, Chiefs, and Moana in a multi. That was no good. Jeff, he's had a couple of goes with us, and he is currently up $345 for the season. That's off 2 weeks of betting. So
that doesn't reflect my TAB account at home. So I'm not how that works. So maybe I'll just stick to what I pick with you guys.
Yeah, it's the weeks in between that let you down, mate. You've had two wins, but it's the weeks in between.
Yeah. Every other event that I can bet on in between. Oh, that's right then. Yeah, those things. Yeah, get
the good Jeff. That's brilliant. Righty-ho, a question for this week. We've just seen the Masters completed a day ago, and boy, oh boy, what a roller coaster ride it was. Rory McIlroy, who had the great start in round one and then double bogeyed a couple of holes to finish on even par, drifted out to $13 after the first round, and then came storming back in the second and third rounds, and then sort of wobbled a bit in the final round. In fact, there was a time late in the fourth round where there were three players tied for the league. I think it was Rose, Rory, and Olberg. So in the end, we went to a playoff. Rory got home up against Justin Rose. Fantastic for Rory. Finally picks up the career Grand Slam. Not too many players have done that. So let's go back to Augusta, where it all happened, and I want you guys to give me any Super Rugby player, past or present, who would most likely break 80 at Augusta, and which player you think would have the worst score at Augusta. Now, I've been lucky enough to see Piri and Jeff up close on the golf course. I'm going to say they probably don't break 80, but let's go to Searle first because he is Switzerland at the moment. He's very, very neutral.
That's rough. I've also seen Piri and Jeff on the golf course up close, and I'm full of optimism, especially if I'm carrying Piri's bag. I thought we were one of the great duos, but the player I think would break 80, there's a couple sharp lads going around. I think Geordie Barrett screams to mind straight away. Incredibly good. I've heard Bodie Barrett is good even with his bad hand. I've heard a rumour he shot up to a very nice golf course in New Zealand, didn't have his clubs with him, so he played with right-handed sticks and still shot about 80-odd, which is incredibly insulting. So, yeah, either of those Barrett brothers, probably Geordie. Player I don't expect to go well, Sean Stevenson just crumbles under pressure on the golf course. I think he broke the record for the worst ever round at chasing the fox, so I'd chuck him in there. Mate, I reckon Piri would break 80. I'm going to say it now. Some of that work he had out of that bunker. I don't know if you guys saw his hand wedge, which is his best shot out of the bunker. It's just where he bends over, picks the ball up when no one's looking, lobs it out within 6 feet of the pin. I reckon that will come in handy at Augusta.
And then get my caddy to throw the sand like it was.
That's our specialty. We were dead set on point for timing too. It looked amazing.
Even if you did that, Augusta, you still don't break 80. I can't see it.
Okay, relax. Jesus.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry.
I back you, Piri. I back you.
So where are you going to go? Who's going to break 80?
I've got a couple in mind. One would be Goldie.
Oh,
I wouldn't.
I reckon Goldie would be all right.
No.
wow.
And Cully.
Oh, is that right? Is he pretty handy with the sticks?
I think.
Yeah.
Aren't you both around the same handicap at the moment, Goldie?
Yeah, we are, and Kelly can play. He can play. He's been low too. He's been really low. So, I mean, look, let's be honest. I mean, you see that they do some posts around talking about what amateurs would play around and hit around Augusta, right? You know, 18 handicap. They reckon in tournament conditions they shoot about 150. So we're talking about you need someone who can deal with the pressure, who plays a lot of golf, and I can tell you that Tony Brown has got the cushiest job in world rugby as the assistant coach of the Springboks. He's in South Africa twice a year. No one plays more golf than him, and he is good. And he's low. And the other thing that's about Brownie is that he's one of those guys that gets into trouble, can get himself out of trouble. Never compounds. Never goes deeper and then deeper and deeper down a hole. And he plays right-handed but putts left-handed. He putts left-handed because he's got a claw for one hand, like one of his so almost he putts an old style hockey stick looking putter, but he's got unbelievable touch. And if you saw the putting yesterday, that's the one thing you need. If you can't putt, you ain't breaking 80. And I don't putt well enough to break 80 around that place. No chance at all.
They do teams like Mulligans. I mean, Mulligans, like Ambrose.
Well, Ambrose,
But we could have a 20-team Ambrose team, and I tell you what, and we ain't breaking 80. I can tell you that for a fact, 100%. The one guy I would put in it, and this hurts me to say it, he's so erratic that he could have a day where it all comes together, and it's Israel Dag. Where, he has that day.
Wow.
So he is the guy that could score the worst score or the best score.
he could be in both camps.
He could be in both camps where it just goes horribly wrong. He just kept pulling out driver and he'd be hitting it into the wilderness, or he's splitting the fairway all day. That's just the way that he plays. So I think he's my guy. He's my dark horse, Israel Dag, that he could break 80, but he could also get 150. That's where he sits. He's got it all.
I'm intrigued by this claw that Tony Brown possessed. Are we talking about?
Well, I can tell you a story about that. When he was young, when he was under 5, he cut all the tendons in his hand, in his right hand, across here. Took him to a Dunedin hospital. they were going to amputate, take his fingers off. And his grandmother said, no, you do it. His grandmother went in and said, you're not doing that. You do whatever it takes to repair those. And so they repaired them. And he's got, if you look, he's got basically across there, he's got like a claw. So they've had to reattach them through there. All Black first 5. He was good for 2 knock-ons a game. if the ball was just a bit too far out in front on the right hand, no good. No good. She went down. But yeah, that's what he. So it's like when you think about putting, it's actually quite hard, but you can do it with your top hand, not your bottom hand. So there you go. He's got played, I don't think about 15, 20 tests for the All Blacks. He's got a claw for the right hand. There you go.
Did you ever pass him the ball?
No, it's before my time.
Oh, a wee bit.
I've actually shook his hand a few times.
And it is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You learn something new every day. That's brilliant.
Yep.
Righty-ho, let's get to a review of last week. And the round started off with a big New Zealand derby down here at the Tinny House. The Canes taking on the Crusaders. In the end, Canes 24, Crusaders 31. Piri, what did you take out of that game? Close, but not close enough for the Hurricanes?
Oh, bit of frustration, really. I think they pretty much. I felt like they played into the Crusaders' hands. Really, they didn't play that much footy, to be honest. And then when they did sort of try and play, the Crusaders had done their homework, put a lot of pressure on them, especially around their pod shape, trying to make sure that they didn't sort of get their back door going and shifting it to the edges where their threats were. So, I felt the Crusaders pretty much practiced what they and executed it on Friday, and there was no answers from the Hurricanes.
Jeff, I thought the Canes they just weren't accurate enough at the breakdown. There were a number of turnovers there where they went in with the ball and the Crusaders turned it over.
Yeah, just not accurate enough against the Crusaders team, particularly the tight 5 and actually the front 8 went to work for the Crusaders. They looked like the Crusaders of old. They really did. Really efficient, really accurate. I thought defensively the Hurricanes had found some things over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but they really just gave too many opportunities to Crusaders. I mean, through the middle of the park, there's some really nice soft touches from the Crusaders as well. Look, it was you said it. I mean, they made far too many errors. Simple, fundamental handling errors, often not even under pressure. I would say this, though. They butchered it at the end. Look, it's 15 on 13. You can't. Why attack in the narrow channel, Piri? Silly. Shift the ball wide. Make them chase you. Doesn't matter if you go backwards a couple of times, as they're chasing you. Eventually, they're going to get spent and run out of players. All the Hurricanes did was one-off runners, and that just played right into the Crusaders' hands. This game should have gone to Golden Point. It should have. They made such hard work. They had good 10, 12 minutes where they had that 13-man advantage. They should have at least got this to a stage where one play could have won it. And they tactically, they let themselves down. I just don't think they should have taken Cam Roy-Gott off. Once they got themselves the momentum they needed. Yes, he might have been a little bit tired, but he may have had the nous and understanding that to be able to get the ball away and I'm not wrong here, am I, Piri?
No, you're right.
Side to side, right? Side to side, stretch the D, all of a sudden they'd run out of numbers. Hurricanes played right into their hands.
Do you think there are times where coaches go in with a pre-set plan and it's at the 65th minute mark or whatever point it is in the game, we're going to take player A off and put player B on? Or do they look at how a game's flowing and decide and be flexible with their sort of game plan?
I just think some positions, a team that they do look at constantly, which is hooker and halfback, right? They look at the timings about when they might put those guys on, but in the end, you've got to play the game that's in front of you. Like the scoreboard determines, the nature of the game determines when you make substitutions. I don't think they have a set plan. They'll have an idea of where, they might like guys, and, I just hope they're not doing anything by the numbers, and they're not doing anything by that. They've got to read what's happening out there, and things might change, and you might hurt someone's feelings by not putting them on. Tough stuff. This is professional sport. You might not get a run today because the nature of the contest determines that someone has to keep playing.
Searle, after the result of that game, the Crusaders back on top of the Super Rugby table once again.
Yeah, they are. And that could be one with the compounded by the Chiefs loss that we look back at the end of the year when the Crusaders have a home final and think that potentially changed the outcome of the whole season because we know how strong they are at home too. Some breaking news. It's not untalked about, but Mark Talia has just announced he's off to Japan as well. So end of this season, he'll be heading off. So my phone's just lit up as we're on this podcast. But yeah, he's announced it with an anime post that he'll be off to Japan next year, which was rumoured. So many talented outsides this year, but that's an interesting one as well.
What's anime?
Huh?
Anime. What is it?
Like Dragon Ball Z, all that type of stuff. You know, all the lads seem to be into
cartoon animation.
Yeah.
Right, animation.
Yeah. No, with you. Let's move on to the next game. It was a huge upset. The Chiefs, who were top of the table prior to round 9, went over to Sydney, and the Waratahs put one on them. Searle, we'll stay with you. This was very impressive, very, very impressive by the Waratahs, and they were led by a former NRL player.
Yeah, Suaalii looked unreal, especially in that first half. The Waratahs scored one of the tries of the year. They went the length of the field, and it just shows how good they can be when they're on. But like I think Steve and Jeff and everyone's mentioned as well, when they're off, they can look pretty average as well. But this was a big win for them. Obviously, the Chiefs were far from their best, and it's been well spoken about. Guys like D-Mac and that didn't have their best nights. But yeah, well done to the Tars. I thought the Chiefs were going to go over there and get the job done reasonably easily, and perhaps they thought the same thing, and a bit of complacency crept into their game. And yeah, this could be that loss that they cop at the back end of the season that really comes back to hurt them. A far from good performance for the Chiefs, and they'll be stinging off the back of this one.
Jeff, a bit of a wake-up call for the Chiefs there?
Look, you're not going to see Damien McKenzie have many of those days at the office. I mean, that's the reality. I think they actually should have taken him off. You get in a situation like that, and they were waiting for that. They were thinking he's going to provide us the one play. He just had one of those nights at the office. Look, the Waratahs have shown for 40 minutes in a number of games they're a good rugby team. They just showed that they were a bit better for a bit longer, but they certainly, the Chiefs still had plenty of opportunities, and they literally just butchered this as well in accuracy. And I think that's something that's got to concern us right now here. If we're seeing, our better teams playing and making errors, or guys that making unfamiliar errors, that just tells you. I'm not sure. I'm wondering whether or not this toll, the speed of the games, is taking a little bit more of a physical toll on a lot of guys who are playing a lot of minutes and games faster. I'm just wondering whether or not that's contributing to the fact that we're halfway through the season and, we're seeing some guys, have some you'd say average performances. But we'll see from here. The Chiefs, their destiny of trying to win a title, if that's what you're chasing, home field advantage is just critical. And they've just given that up in one game, and now they've got to find a way to get it back.
Piri, should we be worried about how the Chiefs went there, or is that just a blip on the season?
It might be just a blip, but I mean, like, the Tars have been strong at home. They've been terrible away, and we've seen that right from the first round that at home they're a totally different beast. But, for them to come out strong in that first half, to try and send the message to a team that's been amazing right from the get-go, I guess the only way to try and, slow them and things like that is put more pressure on them, or get yourself into a good start. And then hopefully if they chase the game, they make all those little errors that Goldie was talking about, those inconsistencies that they don't usually have. We did talk about it last week that the Tars are pretty strong at home, that if anyone was to go there and beat them, it wouldn't be easy.
They are almost the Australian Drua at home. They're a different beast. Let's move on to the battle for Tamaki Makaurau. And in the end, it was Big Brother teaching Little Brother a bit of a lesson here. I think the final score may have flattered Moana Pacifica slightly. The Blues 36, Moana Pacifica 17. Searle, Blues, obviously they're sort of desperate if they're to make the top 6. And they really did put on a very, very big effort against Moana Pacifica.
Yeah, I thought that Blues forward pack was really good. They won the collision, dominated set piece, thought Bodie pulled the strings perfectly like he does, and they just managed to suffocate that Moana attack. Again, Moana's starts continue to hurt them. I think they've had 1 or 2 good starts all season, and they look like a great team when they get off to a flying start. But yeah, this Blues side, I think Vern Cotter's mentioned they're treating this back end of the season like the back nine. They're 2 holes in now, and they're going pretty well, but this is the big test for them this week, that they need to go down there and knock off the Crusaders to show that they're the real deal. But yeah, big win for the Blues in a game where probably all the pressure was on them. Everyone was getting behind Moana, wanting them to knock them off, and yeah, they came away with an important win at home to keep their hopes alive.
Well, if this is the back nine, they better not lay up on the par 5 13th like Rory did. Just go for it. Have a bloody go. Jeff?
Hold on, he ended up winning the tournament.
Well,
He ended up winning the tournament, so you're criticising the strategy of the guy who's holding the trophy or wearing the jacket. I'm not sure that's a great idea.
That's poorly
just
for
me.
you, Jeff.
That's just me.
Poorly for you, mate.
Yeah, you obviously backed someone else. Yeah, a lot on Justin Rose, did you? Like, it's just, yeah, plenty on.
What was it, the Chumbo?
Oh, boy. Oh, but he would have talked to me. Oh, right. Yeah, thank you.
Would you if you were in a big game like that?
How? Oh, yeah. There'd be a bit of banter going on. I'll be getting under the skin of the guy I was playing against. Gee.
It's not the boys that you go and play. It's a bit different.
That
Jeff, the Blues, they needed a big, big win. They got it.
Yeah, they did. I wasn't surprised by this at all. Look, I think the Blues are one of those teams that, you know, they are now at a desperate situation. Look, there'll be disappointment, but also they've got back, you know, one of the best playmakers in the competition, in Beauden Barrett. And so all of a sudden, with him returning, their confidence is up. Or the Moana Pacifica side needed to find a way to capitalise on any errors that were being made. Well, they just rolled up their sleeves, the Blues, and they weren't that side, you know. And that's what the Moana have done really well against a lot of other teams. They've capitalised from long range. They've done things that, you know, other teams have maybe surprised other teams. But why wasn't Patrick Pellegrini starting this game? Seriously. You've got all this momentum and you've played so well. And I heard something about minutes rest. Now, I know this competition has been fast, but he didn't start the year. All of their momentum was on the back of him going to first 5, and they gave that away the moment they named the teams out. I just made no sense to me whatsoever. And so right from the very, very start, they compromised their ability to put their best foot forward. And so I don't think there's no explanation that would satisfy me around that. You know, it's the same thing with McKenzie, Jacob, you know, guys moving players around. You know, look, I was, you know, for some teams who were searching for something, hey, no problem. The Highlanders made all those changes because they were trying to change their momentum, shift things, right? Those other teams were playing well. Why would you do something different? I don't get it. It's crazy to me. So I think the Blues just capitalised on a lot of things Moana, I don't think, did right going into that game. And so now, it's going to be playoff intensity down in Christchurch, right? Blues Crusaders. It's massive, you know, and I think the Blues are going to be seriously up for this, really up for it.
Right. The last game we'll look at from last week is the Highlanders up against the Drua. And now here's a scoreline that probably does flatter the Highlanders slightly. I'm sure Jeff was getting a touch nervy when the Drua made that comeback and got the game back into within a try. But in the end, the Highlanders were just a wee bit too good, Jeff. You'd be very happy with how it finished up.
Nervy's a polite way of saying it. Really polite, because I was in the stand sitting there just furious about, you know, some of the fundamentals and opportunities that were presented to the Drua when you had them, you know, on the rack. You know, just after half time to present them with a gimme. The one thing you didn't want to do against the Drua was give them hope and give them a little bit of enthusiasm. All of a sudden, they had smiles on their faces. There was high fives everywhere, and the Highlanders in the end were lucky a really loose, long, loopy pass that goes to Jacob Rotamutu Neepkins, goes to him, and he kicks it down the other end of the field. This could have been a vastly different result. So it's great for the Highlanders. They welcome back a lot of players, some from injury, some were forced. They'll need to be better. But ultimately, there was a much needed result. Massive in the course of their season. But they needed it because their run home's nasty. I mean, they've got the Chiefs twice, the Crusaders twice, and they've got the Hurricanes away. Man, that's a hard way to finish. You know, that's 5 of your last 6 games. That's tough.
Searle, the Highlanders, it is a tough finish. They sit just outside the top 6 at the moment, but this is a game that could give them a wee bit of momentum heading into that tough stretch that they've got to finish the regular season.
Yeah, obviously you always want to snap losing streaks as quick as you can, and getting a dub at home will be great for their confidence. They're still going to have to take their game to another level, though, like Jeff said, up against some quality sides that'll be looking to try and end their season, because this playoff race is going to be so tight that teams have to rock up with a finals mentality a lot earlier than they have in previous seasons. So, yeah, I think we're going to see if the Landers can go with the best in the comp and not just beat the sides below them.
Beauty. The last game, we won't touch on it, but I think we've found out who is the best side in Australia. The Brumbies are heading to Queensland to take on the Reds and beating them 39-26. So the Brumbies do look the best of the Australian sides, and they are now the top Australian side in third place on 23 points. Right, last week we got Piri to give us his ultimate all-time Hurricanes team. This week we're going to get Jeff Wilson to give us his ultimate all-time Highlanders team. And Jeff, why don't we start with the forwards and go straight to the front row? I mean, there's a whole heap of talent that you could choose from. Where did you go?
Oh, this is probably the easiest part for me. I'd never mess with these guys because I played with them, and they'll come back to haunt me if I ever did. But it'd be Hoft, Oliver, and Muse. Pure and simple. It's a full All Black front row. There's been some guys over a long period of time. We've had a lot of guys who have, like your Ash Dixons of the world, who have played, big significant minutes. But in terms of, I still come back to the fact that, you're looking at guys who've gone on and played at the next level and competed at the next level. For me, Carl Heyman was obviously the clear and obvious, right? And I think he's probably, Carl was probably the other tight head prop that I could quite easily have put in there with Case. Carl was obviously one of the best to play for the Highlanders and for the All Blacks. So that was probably the only one. I could quite easily have put Carl in there at tight head prop, but Hofty was a beast at loose head. That was my front row. I'm up for debate a lot of these things. When you sit through the emails, like, well, this will always test me trying to find spots for all the players. I'm sure it was the same for Piri, but those are the guys for me that I think delivered up front. Some other names you throw out there, lads?
Heyman seems to be the unlucky guy there.
Well, look. Like I say, I see Case every so often. Have you seen Case lately? No, you don't want to upset that. You don't want to get that on the wrong side of that.
Case?
Is he still driving? But was he the bus driver was it for the Highlanders or for the?
No, that was McDonnell.
No,
that was Joey McDonnell.
Right.
Yeah. Pudding.
Are you happy with Jeff's selections in the front row there, Piri?
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember you picked about 6, I think, props, and didn't.
Whoa.
And didn't actually name.
No,
what?
Just not 6.
Well, how many?
3 hookers and 3 up for discussion.
Oh, so
just want to see. Goldie's the same.
It's a big ask. It's a big ask. It's not easy to narrow it down to a simple 15.
So there's going to be a few areas that you need to have a corridor about.
Yeah, and it's not like we've had like 230 or 250 players. It's not easy to remember all of them either.
Well, let's move on to the locks.
At some point you're going to have to pick some sort of team. Putting all the pressure on us. Anyway, locks. Couple here. Tom Donnelly, Sass. I think a technician. He was. One of the best in the business. But also, I'm going to go back to a player I played with who I think is vastly underrated. It was Simon Mailing. which is one out of left field. But when I played with him, and he went on to be an All Black, who I think was very much underrated, was a big part of the success that I had when I was down there, and the way that he played the game, and he to me, he was that's where I ended up at lock. We had some other guys that had moments, Brad Thorpe come and played, but it was to me when they were playing in the Highlanders jersey, not when they played elsewhere. We had a lot of guys come in, but those were the two I settled with for me. Donald and Mailing. We had a few others. Tell you who I was tempted to put in there. I think could quite easily give him 5 years. I could be saying Fabian Holland's name.
Well, be. Searle, you got any suggestions for Jeff there? You happy with where he's gone there?
Oh, it's just a name I didn't expect to hear, but it's Jeff knows better than anyone, right? This is his beloved Landers, and he's laced up with a lot of these lads. But I agree, Fabian Holland, I think we saw his potential again on the weekend. Set piece time, he was enormous. And I know Razor's got a keen eye for him, so I'm really keen to see how his career develops over the next few years too, because he has massive potential.
Beauty. Loose forwards, Goldie.
Yeah, this was a tough one. This is a tough one. Once again, I went Shannon Frizzell. I think Shannon in the Highlanders jersey, it was a shame that New Zealand Rugby lost him in his prime. Our blindside was sort of one of those things where Liam Squire was another guy who just didn't play enough games, but when he did play, man, he was a beast, an absolute beast. And then two of my former teammates, I had Josh Kronfeld at open side. Crush for me was awesome in the position, and Tane Randall at number 8. Nasi Manu come in that conversation as a great Highlander, but still in the end, to me, it was Tane was vastly underrated as a player. Really, really was. I think sometimes when you don't have success as an All Black captain, it can look at a career and you can get tarnished with that sometimes, a bit like the Reuben Thorne reputation, right? Which is ridiculous. You watch these guys play the game; they're hellishly good rugby players, really, really good. And so for me, that was the combination of loose forwards that I came up with.
Rightio. No room for... Oh, no.
Who?
No, well, who do you like?
You were just about to say Jamie Joseph.
No.
Jamie Joseph didn't play well. Yeah, exactly.
No.
What about Elliot Dixon?
Yeah,
close?
definitely. Yeah. But I sort of went, was he better in any of those individual positions?
Yeah.
Played all the back row and was able to do it. And once again, I would like to have seen him play more. But he was a guy that was in that conversation. We have had a lot in the loose forwards. We had a lot of guys who are really good sort of journeymen, who played really good Super Rugby for a long period of time. But in terms of the guys, I picked the guys who were elevated, went to the next level.
Right. We're into the backs now, and let's go halfback.
No debates, Nuggie. Aaron Smith. I don't think there's a guy who transformed the game. I'm not sure. Look, you had Byron Kelleher for a while, but I don't think there's any argument here, right?
Searle, any argument?
No, that's a good 1-2 punch, though, isn't it? Byron Kelleher off the bench there would be pretty handy. I used to love watching him play, but yeah, Aaron Smith's one of the greatest nines ever. So, yeah.
Okay, number 10. Are we going
Tony
to
Brown?
Claw?
Tony Brown, the claw.
Yeah.
We got the claw in there. Look, he's become one of the best coaches going around in world rugby, and look, he was a hell of a player who was in a really competitive time at first five in New Zealand rugby, and he drove our team, he drove the team, understands the game. Look, he's a sort of standout. We've had obviously the likes of Nick Evans and Lima Sopawonga and those players of that ilk around, but I think Brownie was certainly superior in regards to the consistencies of his performances, and his ability to drive a team.
Right, how second 5'8" or inside centre, as they say up north?
Combination, John Leslie. I've gone I've gone back to. I just enjoyed playing with him at 2 or 3. I don't think we've found sort of anyone better in that position. In terms of leadership, in terms of pulling on the jersey. Was passionate about it. Look, I think once again we've had a lot of players in that midfield. Peter Alatini was sort of in that conversation as well. I don't know if we've had anyone. We had Ma come for a season that didn't work out so flash. But I sort of went through. I don't know if I was missing anyone. Was I missing anyone, Shirley? Was I missing anyone that at 12?
Peter Alatini was the standout. But yeah, I was going to say for Qatar, but he was more 13, wasn't he? So
Because that's why I've got him at 13.
yeah,
I've got Malachi Fekitoa at 13. When he had that run for I think about 3 seasons, he was awesome.
Yeah.
For both the Highlanders and the All Blacks. So that was the combination I went with. Those were the two guys. Let's move on to the most important part, though, the back three. Let's be honest.
Oh, this is the spot that wins or loses your games.
Yeah, exactly. So clearly, I'm not going to pick myself, right? I'm not going to pick myself, so I'm going to pick the 3 other guys. Ben Smith is my fullback, without a doubt, without any, between the two Smiths, basically changed the course and led the Highlanders to a title. And Ben Smith to me was, we've struggled, we still haven't managed to replace him in the All Blacks. Will Jordan's a different type of player, but Ben Smith I thought was a fantastic rugby player. And for the Highlanders, man, it was, you watched him play and he could turn a game. And then when he had someone aside him like Waisake Naholo, who was a try-scoring machine, this man, he was awesome. I mean, he was great to watch and excited the crowd, just absolutely perfect. And then this guy here, he hasn't been here long in the other wing, but he could end up being at second 5. But as long as we keep Timothy Tavatavanawa, because he is awesome. He really, really is good. And, there was other guys I looked at, you had your Brendan Laney's, Romy Rowe parties. Yeah. We had some guys from that ilk, but for me, those are my 3. I just love what Tavatavanawa has done in a short period of time with the team. I know it's not long, but man, he is awesome and fun to watch. And so that would be, if I'm going to plug myself in, I kept Waisake can go to the left wing and I'll just run around on the right wing. And Timothy can he can overtake me in time. It's not a problem. It's easy. But those are. I think there was a number of positions I thought were reasonably easy. Some others that were, were a little bit more difficult.
See, I told you it's not as easy as you think.
No, it's not. It's not.
Guys, yes, bang. And then other positions, there's some. It's up for discussion because
was it hard with like recency bias as well in certain positions where you're not 100% sold? Is it easier to just go with guys that are playing now and be like, this guy's good because he popped front of mind?
No, look, I think the hard part is when you are comparing eras. I think that's the hard part is you're going when I played versus what I've seen in recent times. But I think we have to accept that for a good 10 years, we were a bit of a revolving door. We had a lot of guys that came in and out and in and out and didn't quite, sort of get to the next level. Whereas sort of I go back to when I was playing, we had a lot of players who went to the next level, and so when you're trying to compare those guys going to and playing international rugby versus guys who have probably played 50 or 60 games for the Highlanders in the last 15 years, how do they compare across the multiple competitions? But I mean, it's not easy, And to be honest with you, there was a lot of players, that it's hard to remember, Like I said, I had to go through the list, and I was sort of looking at them, and in the end, I thought there was a lot of guys that you could possibly go there, but there was always sort of a standout, There was always someone you go in their prime over a period of time, and that's the other part of it is, do you want someone who played for 7 years or someone for 3 years who was awesome? That was Malachi Fekitoa, right? For 3 years, he was fantastic.
Would it be inaccurate to say that the Highlanders were at times the bad news bears of Super Rugby, sort of the team where players went because no one else wanted them?
Oh, without a doubt, or it was where they were getting an opportunity. It wasn't so that people didn't want them; they just were stacked in some positions. I mean, that's what Waisake Naholo, for example. Like that's what and it ended up being the best thing for him. Look, we're seeing that already. In a short time with Caleb Tangatau.
Yeah.
He would be sitting on the bench in the stands for the Blues. And he's now getting to play. So, that's you always need a team like that. You need someone where they can go. We're actually seeing that now with the Force out of Australia, whereas they picked up a few guys who have now got a couple of years of experience, and they're starting to look like Super Rugby players who a couple of years ago, you go, they're rough. But now they've got another 20 games, 25, 30 games of Super. They look quite good. So, I mean, the Highlanders are always going to be that just by sheer population, just by sheer numbers, that they're going to have to bring players in from around the country. It's just a matter of those guys wanting to come and take their opportunity.
Fantastic. There's Jeff's all-time ultimate Highlanders team. Let us know if there's anyone that he's missed out that should be in there. I'd be very, very keen to know.
I won't be that keen. You can be keen as you like. I'm not keen.
Yeah. In fact,
He's got his team.
I'm hoping there's a few ex-Highlanders who reply to this.
There's about 230 other people who are going, what? Excuse me? No, why am I not on that side? I can see John Blakey texting me already going, how could you pick Mailing over me?
But maybe next week we'll get Searle to do the Crusaders or the...
no one will be in it, mate. No one will be in it. There was no one worthy from that mob.
But I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe the Chiefs then. We'll see. Anyway, let's move on back to Super Rugby and round 10 coming up this weekend. We start the round with another big New Zealand derby. The Blues up against the Crusaders. Crusaders $1.50, Blues $2.40. They're 4.5-point favourites, the Crusaders at home, and the game total is set at 53.5. Searle, what do you like here?
Oh, this is going to be one good game. That Blues pack last week hit their straps, and then you got the likes of Scott Barrett and co, who just had massive performances too. Crusaders at home, so they go in deserved favourites, but I think this is going to be another classic and a tight one between these two sides. I'll go the Crusaders with the home ground advantage, but that either team by 7.5 option always tickles my fancy, and I reckon this one's going to go down to the wire, especially if Crusaders have problems with their goal kicking, because I think that's something they need to fix up, depending who's at 10. There were a couple dusty nudges there last week that could hurt them in these tight games as well.
Oh, bit of an Achilles heel there for the Crusaders. Piri, what do you like in this match, the Crusaders Blues?
Oh, if Bodie plays the way that he played on the weekend, I think the Blues have a chance. I feel like him coming back into the team showed a bit more spark and more light, exactly what they needed. But in saying that, I know his brother on the other side, opposite him, had an outstanding game as well against the Hurricanes last weekend. So it'll be a tough one, and no one really likes going down to Christchurch to play footy. I mean, us.
Is it the Canberra of New Zealand, Piri?
New Zealand, yeah. Piri said it. Canberra of New Zealand.
In terms of...
Jeff's not sure.
Not want to be there. Christchurch was the place that no one really wants to go and play footy at. Super.
Been to Palmy lately?
There we go.
We don't play too many games there.
There we go, Jeff Wilson burnt you.
Well, it's sort of inland. It's in the middle of nowhere. Like, come on. To be fair, I had a lot of trips to I've had a great time, but it's not an easy place to go and play. I will say that. And look, as of next year, though, Christchurch is going to be a place you want to go and play because it's going to have a great stadium. It's going to be outstanding. I don't know if you've seen any of it, but it looks great. It's going to be clearing, it says. I'm fascinated by this. I still, when I get to a game where I don't know the result of, I go with the team that's got the best first five. That's what I do. I go to the team, and that to me, and I think even halfback first five combination for the Blues. Christie's, I think, but he's playing really good rugby. I think he was unlucky last year to be sort of pushed aside by the All Blacks, and I think between him and Barrett, if they hit their form behind a forward pack, which is right in the fight, like I say, this is going to be playoff intensity, and I think the Crusaders got to be very wary that they can't actually, and I'm not saying that they will do this, but they can't relax one bit at all. Like they can't feel comfortable about where they are on the table. They've got to actually look this as an opportunity going, you know what? I'd like to not see the Blues again. So this is when we take them out of the equation. We take them out of the equation now. Don't wait to a playoff game. Actually put the Blues in such of a position where, it's so hard for them to get back into that playoff picture. And if the Blues don't win probably again, it's getting really difficult to finish the season.
Yep. If the Blues forward pack lay that platform that they did last week, and give Bodie time and space, then the Blues will go a long, long way to winning that match. But Crusaders at home, I don't know. Should we have a look at the Moana Pacifica up against the Brumbies? Moana Pacifica, $2.45. Brumbies, $1.50. Jeff just mentioned if a match looks tight, you go with the side that's got the best first five. Well, hopefully Pellegrini's back on the field for Moana Pacifica, which would mean that they're a big, big chance here as well against the best Australian team at the moment, the Brumbies. Searle?
Yeah, I'm going to wait for team naming for this one to make it 100% decision. But if Pellegrini's in the 10 jersey, I like them for a bit of value there as a 1-12 win. And Pukekohe, I think that the crowd will get out and really get around them. But yeah, I like Jeff, I'm just baffled by that decision. A minute's restriction for a player who didn't play many minutes at the start of the season, hasn't played a lot of top-class footy anyway throughout his career. We know he's travelled a bit of an interesting road to get here. Surely he doesn't want to give anyone else the opportunity to wear the 10 jersey. But Moana will be stinging off the back of last week. Brumbies quality side. I thought Rob Valentini was one of the best forwards in the competition last weekend as well. He can be so bruising, and I think they really missed him at the start of the season. But yeah, I like to believe in Moana for the upset. I think there's some great value there, 1-12 too. So I'll back them in, but I'm hoping to see Pellegrini named in the 10 jersey just to make me feel a little more confident.
Piri, you backing the Moana Pacifica in as well?
Yeah, well, it wasn't just the fact that Pellegrini wasn't on the field to start with. I mean, his combination, the 19, Goldie brought it up, the 19 combination is huge. And your starting 9 and 10 was pretty much sitting on the bench. And for a team that's been driven for the last couple of weeks by those two, your 9 and your 10, and moving those and changing them around in a game that would potentially, they would definitely want to go and send a message to the Blues. You would have thought that they would have stayed with their strongest 9 and 10. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm hoping that their pairing from between 9 and 10's the correct one, the starting two this weekend, and I reckon it'll be a great opportunity for them to, show everyone that it was just a hiccup, and then they're back on their winning streak.
Jeff,
Moana Pacifica, are they a chance against the Brumbies?
I think they're a chance. I mean, are we sure? Are they sure that they want Piri backing them after his? I mean,
he backs them every week.
Just do us a favour and just don't put any money on us. Just stay away from that. In all seriousness, look, there's a weather bomb coming, right? And so this is one of the things that I think it may favour the Brumbies a little bit if it's nasty conditions, and you need, that's where you've got to really grind it out. I mean, if you look at the Moana's had an ability up until last weekend. They was one of the highest point scoring team in the competition, and how they've gone about that though is they've scored some fantastic tries by actually using the ball. So I'm interested to see when a squeeze comes on, and there was a bit of a squeeze at Eden Park. The Blues forwards put the squeeze on them, and the Brumbies, I think, away from home can do the same type of thing. It's how they deal with that. So this is probably, like as much as everyone else is under pressure, Moana, if they've got any visions of making the playoffs, this is it. Like, this is the game. You get all sorts of momentum of a win against the top 4 side, which the Brumbies are a top 4 side for me. So I give them a chance, but they will have to be well and truly on top of their game. And they've just got to pick their best team, the guys that will do the job. If they do that, they're a chance. But I still think it's a big ask to tip over a Brumbies team. I think they're tough.
Let's stick with Jeff because we're going to move on to the Chiefs Highlanders, and the Chiefs are dominant favourites here. They're $1.15, Highlanders $5. Highlanders are 14.5 point underdogs here. That's 2 converted tries. The game total set at 56.5. Jeff, do you give the Highlanders any chance whatsoever here?
Absolutely, I'll give them a chance because they've only, if you look at their losses this year, they've been 8 points or less. So, look, I know the Chiefs are good, and the Chiefs are very good against the Reds, but the Highlanders are just gritty. And I think, once again, conditions will be challenging. And to given that point, it's a matter of you've got to go about your work, and the Highlanders will go about their work. And they had some guys who are coming back into this game who hadn't played a lot of footy. Hugh Renton, I think, was huge as a skipper. He just has no regard for his own body whatsoever. And that's the sort of type of player you're going to need in this fight. Now, the Chiefs will be looking for a bounce-back performance, but, I think that would have knocked their confidence, that game against the Waratahs. It really would have. So, they might, and I look at this as that if you start taking threes, which I think a lot of teams will start doing, the margins will stay close. I think the Highlanders, they found a little bit. Nariki's dangerous, Tavatava Nawai is as good as anyone for me at the midfield at the moment in terms of carrying and over the ball. Really strong leadership. The one thing it'll be is that they've just got to, their scrum's got to step up. Their props have got to step up for the Highlanders. So for me, if the forward pack can just stay in the fight, particularly the front row, then I think the rest of the team, I think can be good enough to put some pressure on the Chiefs.
Searle, your Chiefs, can they bounce back from last week? No, they are very, 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 very much favoured by the bookies.
Yeah, they're incredibly short, aren't they? I think D-Mac will be named at 10, and we'll see a bit of a clinic, a bit of a statement performance. I think he's going to want to bury that game last week well and truly. So, yeah, I think, like Jeff said before, you back the team with the better 10, and I think if Damien's on song and fired up, and it sounds like he took that performance really hard. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs will be too good, but I don't expect the Landers to roll over, and that 14.5 start is very juicy. I was surprised to see it was $5.
Piri, let's move on to the last match of the round. The Hurricanes travel across Australia and take on the Force. The Force, slight outsiders at home. They're $2.05. The Hurricanes are $1.70. They're 1.5 point underdogs. The home side, the Force, and the game total is set at 60.5. They'll probably have I don't think there's a weather bomb over in Western Australia this weekend, so we should see some open running rugby.
No, there is. The Hurricane's coming.
Oh, jeez.
Did you guys practice that one before?
No, not at all.
Well played.
Where you go?
Well played.
Where are you going with this one? Where are you going with this? Next one.
Which one is it? Where is it? Oh, jeez, I can't even
That
see.
one.
But this one?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, gee.
But
After all of that, you need to rehearse that bit better.
Yeah, come on.
It's all about timing.
Yeah, that lost all momentum, didn't it? That lost all momentum.
I was like, I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, there's...
Fully. No, I think Hurricanes are they need to actually go over there and get the job done. This is pretty much make or break for their season. Just over halfway, and I think they need to make sure that they get the job done. Like, it's a tough ask to go that far over to Australia, but I mean, you've got to put that all aside and make sure you get the job done. So I guess they'll be critiquing their game plan a bit, just so that they can get rid of all the errors that they made on the weekend, and make sure that they get the job done in Perth, because it's not going to be easy. I know for a fact that Perth Force have been strong at home. They've only had one hiccup. It was a pretty tight battle there, but the Canes need to play a strong game this weekend.
Searle, if the Canes can eliminate the errors, they're right in this game.
Yeah, they are. I just think the Force at home have been so impressive this year, and they're off the back of the bye as well. So I think they're really good value. I do expect it to be close, but Force 1-12 for me kind of jumps out as a pretty smart bet to have on your multis. Obviously, the Canes, quality side, and they've got a lot to play for, season on the line, like Piri mentioned. But yeah, for me, the Force have earned the right to be favourites at home, so I'm a little bit shocked that they're not.
Jeff, you give the Canes a bit of a chance over in Western Australia?
Oh, look, I mean, the Force have been the surprise team for me. They've been really, really good. They've had some performances that have surprised me. I just look for the Hurricanes. This is sort of almost your moving weekend for some teams about getting yourself back in the conversation. And they've got the Brumbies away, the Hurricanes, then the Chiefs, the Highlanders at home. They've got the Reds away, and they finish with Moana Pacifica at home. So they've got to realistically pick up 4 wins at minimum to make the playoffs. I think somewhere around 7, Searle, Piri. I think 7 might sneak you in with bonus points. I reckon it's going to be really congested.
Yeah.
So they've got to win 4 of the last 6 of those. That's not so. To me, the force this game's actually it's a must win because the Brumbies away will be really tough. The Chiefs away, even though they're at home, will be tough, and they've got the Reds away, and the Highlanders as well. So look, this is the nature for a lot of these teams. You can look through all of them. You know, now that you only had 3 wins, this is a must win for them. So I actually think they'll go and play really well. I think they'll recognise that, and this could be the sort of game that might suit them. It might be a little bit more open, and if it's open, that gives them a chance to play a bit like they did against the Waratahs, where there was that big breakout game. If it's open enough, then you know we might see some of that creativity, and we might see some of those loose forwards have the ability to play a little bit more out on the edges, and they just probably for me just need to play a little bit smarter.
Righty-ho, let's move on to the punting part of the podcast. And why don't we start with Jeff so that he doesn't get a sort of a preview of what Piri's going to back and then go the opposite.
Go the opposite. So I've got a couple here. I've got a Maoate, and you've talked about some of the values. So that Highlanders plus 14.5. Like I just the weather conditions, the toughness out of them, I like that. I'm multiplying that with the Hurricanes are going to get a win, and the Brumbies are going to get a win, and that's about 475. So I want $50 on that. So that multied up. And the other one is, everyone knows who Billy Pollard is? He's the hooker for the Brumbies. He's the hooker for the Brumbies, or whoever starts at hooker for the Brumbies, first, second, or third try scorer. There'll be a line-out drive ball in there somewhere.
Oh, they love it.
They love it. It's Stephen Moore of old. Remember they did that for pretty much a whole season. I think for conditions, they'll get some territory at Pukekohe, and they'll go, you know what? Just look at what do those usually pay? Those first, second, or third try scorers at hooker? Are they sort of 250, 275
$3 range,
$3 range. You know, so $50 on that. That's how I'm going. But whoever's at hooker, whether it's Pollard or Lonergan's their other option.
Yeah.
Whoever's there, maybe 25 in each, and you might get one in each half. But that's how I'm going. It's me.
Righty-ho, Searle, where are you going? I don't mind that. I've gone similar to Jeff. I can't believe this, and he won't be happy about it. But we'll go with Searle now.
Yeah, so I went either team by within 7.5 in the Blues Crusaders game. Drua, Moana, Chiefs, and Force. So that's quite leery. That's all one multi. $80 on it. The old perfect round.
Wow.
Paying $14.80.
Well, he's trying to go straight to the top.
I am. And then I've chucked $20 on the double upset. Force 1 to 12, Moana 1 to 12, $11.52.
Cheap. He's swinging for the
fence.
Yeah, I call it the black eye bet. You know, I'm already beaten up. It can't get any worse.
HIA for Searle.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, it could prove to be genius. And I'm trying to think what Piri won't do.
I will go with Ipo Tailoa into Moananu for meat pies. I'll put 50 on that. And then I'm just going to do...
What? Hold on. Say that again.
Pies for a try. To score a try. You get that one?
Carry on. Yeah, okay. I'm with you. Mate, it sounds as though it's going to get more elaborate. This is...
Yeah.
No. Then I'll just go with... put 50 on the Canes. 13 and over.
13 and over.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's that paying? What's that paying?
That is paying $3.50.
Yeah. Like I say, if they get going, right? If they get going, it's possible.
Righty-ho. I've got 2 bets.
Jeff shaking his head as he says it.
I've got 2 bets. I'm going
Everyone, all the Hurricanes fans just said, "Oh."
Crusaders to win, Brumbies to win, Hurricanes to win. It comes out at $3.82, $80 on that. And then I'm taking look, I was going to take Tiziano to score a try. He's currently at the top of the try. This is impressive. We're over halfway through the season, and a forward is at the top of the try scoring ranks. So
Have you watched that, Hungus? He literally just refuses to pass.
Yeah.
He gets into a maul and somehow, I mean, if you're the force hooker, you're going, how am I getting, what's going on here? Like, he's ridiculous.
He wouldn't be welcome at the Brumbies, that's for sure. Those hookers would boot him out in a heartbeat.
Right, he was playing with Goldie. You're like, mate, let it out, mate.
Far out. God.
I've decided not to go with Tiziano. I'm going with a same game multi here. I'm going to go with Roigard to score a try, Omua to score a try, and the Canes to win by 13 or more. I'm going to have $20 on that. Here's my $100.
Oh, you guys laughed at my bets saying I was leery. I love how Piri says, and then I'm just going to go as if it's going to be really safe. And then he's like, Canes betting.
Rightio, Searle. Who's Northcote got this weekend?
Hey, I thought you'd know. I thought you would have booked the flight up. Takapuna this weekend at home. So, yeah, a big rivalry game. I'm hoping to see a few of the Taka boys named for Moana so that they don't lace up for them this week. So if you're listening, Tana, do me a favour, please. Chuck the Anisi brothers in there. That would be a massive help. But, yeah, big game for us this weekend up against Taka at Northcote. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, good luck, Searle. Jeff, what Super Rugby game are you going to be? You're going to be Friday night.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be epic. You'd have to say, if you talk about all the things that they're trying to achieve with Super Rugby, we've got a lot of things right this year. They've managed to, the dropping of the team. I know, obviously the Melbourne Rebels are bitterly disappointed, but it strengthened all of those sides. I bumped into Ben O'Keefe actually this morning, and he was just saying he's really, really enjoying the way all of the laws have played out. The ability for them to think on their feet as well during the season and made some slight adjustments. So he thinks that has certainly added to the evenness of the competition. So, for us to be we're around 9, but going in and all of these games have got some ramifications, and we're not as confident as we have been in the past about who's going to come out on top of these contests. That's the ideal situation for a good competition. So, I'm looking forward to seeing all the Scott Barrett fans down in Christchurch after we challenged the All Black captain a couple of weeks ago, and he put a great performance out there. So I'm looking forward to the whole event. It'll be great.
Right, Piri, sports, Wellington College.
Yeah, we've got Tauranga this weekend, our first and second 15, so it's a good opportunity for them to play against one of the, top teams of last year. In schoolboy rugby, and that's about it, really. Don't have to carry a bag around for my son on the golf course. Watch him hit the ball better than I do. Maybe I could have used him as my.
Well,
it'd be 150. Like his dad.
Beautiful. I think that's it for another.
What about you? You got plans?
Yeah. I'm going to a Vivian Westwood thing. Yeah. Anyway.
I thought you were going to you spend the weekend working out how to use the sound effects in the Hold on. Have you got a different one for that?
Oh, gee. But that's it. We've got to go now. No more. I don't want to get burned anymore. Thanks to Searle. Thanks to Jeff. Thanks to Piri. And thanks to you for tuning in again. And don't forget, we'll be back next week with another edition of the Pick and Go podcast.